Hello, welcome back. Beast Texas Breakdown time. I'm Jimmie Searfoss, joined here by, that's right, he's back, the man, Mallea. Formerly known as Daniel, formerly known as Dan. He's going to go by the man today. Dan, how you feeling?
Fine by me. Feeling pretty good. I think we're going to talk about it a little later, but, you know, my boy Bruce made a big announcement today, so
yeah, you know what?
We excited about that.
We were going to talk about that later, but we can talk about that now. Hey, show us your shirt. Show us your shirt, man.
Sure. So this was a gift from my sister, Abby Mallea. Shout out, Abby. This was a birthday gift, and I'm just, I've mentioned it every single chance I possibly can. I'm from New Jersey, and obviously Bruce Springsteen is a New Jersey icon, but let's be real, he's a global icon. So yeah, he announced Tracks Part 2 coming out in late June. There he is, there's the boss. Tracks Part 2 dropping late June. I believe it's going to be 78 songs that nobody has ever heard before, 78 previously unreleased songs, and I think 84 total, so, a handful of, other recordings of songs that you already know and then you've already heard. But it's pretty exciting, and it's Part 2 because he released Tracks Part 1 in '98, which is just another treasure trove of songs that he hadn't released at the time.
1998? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, so it's been a minute.
Yeah.
When was the last time he released? I mean, has he been releasing music this whole time? I didn't even know.
Yeah. His last real album came out in 21, I'm trying to think. I was a sophomore in college, and it was September. So I think it was either September 2020 or 2021, but I think it was 21 because I think it was coming out of the pandemic, and that was a tremendous album. But since then, he's just been touring for like 2 years straight.
Hey,
so
pop off. It was funny. One of the first times I met Dan, we were riding in the car, and I was kind of trying to figure out what do I play music-wise? Springsteen came on the radio, and we did not get off of Springsteen.
No.
We stuck there the whole time.
I think you and definitely Ayanna and Mariah, who's not with CBS 19 anymore, but pretty much any time I get somebody in the car, it starts out with like, I probably shouldn't play Bruce. They don't want to hear Bruce. And then I play like one Bruce song, and I'm like, what are we doing here? And then it's just all away.
It's American. God dang it. Dang it. But we do have, speaking of America's team, we have some breaking news from the Cowboys today, so let's get into it. It's Cowboys time. Let's talk about the Cowboys. Cowboys today traded for Joe Milton of the New England Patriots, got themselves a backup quarterback to fill that empty role. Now the trade is Joe Milton. Cowboys are also going to get a 7th-round pick. Patriots are going to get a 5th-round pick. I like the trade. Joe Milton has a lot of talent. He was one of those guys, I think you took him in the 6th round, the Patriots did in 2024. Yep. He has a big arm, big time arm. Has some talent with his legs, but he's going to want to stay in the pocket. He was one of those guys that really got big because of the NFL Combine.
Yeah.
Really showed out and then ended up getting picked. Didn't have a whole lot of action in his time with the New England Patriots, but there just wasn't a whole lot of room for him on that roster. They got Drake May, they got a few other guys that are weaving in and out of there. He got a few playing snaps last year, but didn't exactly get a ton of action. There he is on the Patriots wearing the blue, red, and white. What were some of your initial thoughts of this trade?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, seems to be a toolsy guy. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be an expert on Joe Milton III because I'm not. But looking into him a little bit right now, it makes sense what you're saying. He kind of got more recognition in the Combine because looking at his college stats, I mean, they're obviously good, they're impressive, but it's nothing crazy. And he honestly didn't get a ton of action until his senior year or his super senior year in 2023 because he probably redshirted and then he got a COVID year, so he was in college for 6 years. But in that 2023 season with Tennessee, we're looking at 20 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, completed 229 passes on 354 attempts, so just about 65%. So good numbers, and playing in the SEC, that matters a little more, obviously. And also, like you said, he only got one game with the Patriots last year. Performed well. I mean, it was a January game against the Bills, which, I think at that point, Buffalo kind of felt good about what they were doing for the rest of the season and going into the playoffs. But he played well. 22 for 29 on pass attempts, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. His longest pass was 48 yards. Oh, he also ran for a touchdown. Okay, there you go. 2 touchdowns in his first game. So,
but that backup role is such a hard one to fill because as a Cowboys fan, I would have liked to have someone maybe a little bit with a little more experience.
Yeah, and well, especially because in Dallas, it's obviously played a part, a significant part recently with Cooper Rush getting a lot of time with Dak being out. Then obviously you hope Dak's not out again this year, but if he is, it's going to be a little different. Cooper Rush, was a guy with experience, whereas Joe Milton really is not in terms of NFL experience. So.
Well, and then you don't want to spend a whole lot on a guy that you don't even know if is going to play. That's like kind of the weird thing about getting a backup quarterback. You want someone that can carry the load if they have to, but at the same time, you don't want to be dropping a bag on a guy that could ideally really not see a whole lot of time in the playoffs. But the problem, or during the season, but the problem is Prescott keeps getting hurt.
Right.
So the big question is right now, do we trust Joe Milton to have a Cooper Rush-like season or be able to take a Cooper Rush kind of load throughout an entire season if Dak Prescott goes out there, maybe pulls a hammy and isn't right all year long? Do we trust him for that? And honestly, I really don't. There's not a whole lot of sample sizes that says, yes, he can do this. It's more of a gamble of just in case, which I guess is what they want. But who knows with Dak Prescott's health?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a TBD because, like we just talked about, he didn't get much time at all last year, and he was got better and better towards the end of his college career and really kind of broke out in that, I'll call it the super senior season. So it's a TBD, but also like you said, you're not going to sign a guy who's a sure thing to be your backup quarterback because, he's probably playing starting quarterback somewhere else or he's going to cost a lot of money or whatever it is. So hopefully, for Cowboys fans and for the Cowboys front office and such, they think that they kind of found a diamond in the rough, maybe like a hidden gem kind of thing, an uncut gem. So, and if that is the thought process, then I get that because, like you said, you're not going to make a huge signing for your backup quarterback. Nobody is. That just doesn't happen.
And what it does do, it does kind of fill that role in that they're not going to have to go get it in the draft, which is nice. They're not going to have to go and spend a ton of money on anyone, like we said, that might not be their best ideal. But there's really not a whole lot of options in the draft, especially maybe later on when they're trying to fill some other positions.
Yeah.
So if they believe in Dak Prescott's health, and I guess this is a good move for them. Would have loved like a Justin Fields though, someone that has some of that starting experience, is talented. I get this guy Milton is a little more of the play style of Dak Prescott, but I would have loved a Justin Fields. He would have cost some money.
I was gonna say, was that really on the table though? Honestly,
Nah, he was moving around a little bit. I didn't hear a whole lot of buzz around, what he would have come to the Cowboys for, but he has some experience, can get things done on an offense.
Yeah,
it would have been fun to see, but. Some of the Cowboys stuff also takes us into our...
What are we doing?
What are we doing? Dan, you covered this a little bit yesterday. What was going on with the Micah Parsons, Jerry Jones contract extension, all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, Jerry kind of being Jerry, it seems. Basically, I'm sure a lot of people know by now, but essentially, talking about pursuing a contract extension with Micah Parsons, one of the best defenders in the league, obviously. Jerry basically, he sounds like he wants to get it done, but he essentially said, well, why does his agent have to be a part of the conversation? I don't even know who his agent is. Like, he doesn't have anything to do with what we do on the field, which, sure. But, there's a precedent for how these kind of things get done, and Jerry knows that.
I would understand that if it was... Look, this is one of the biggest agents in
right,
the
and that's
NFL.
the other thing. It's not like some no-name. He's he represents a lot of prominent players in the league.
This guy signed players up to $1 billion with the contracts last year. This guy knows what he's doing, and not only is that a bad look for this contract extension and stuff like that, it's a bad look for everyone else that might be coming to the Cowboys. I get it, Jerry. You want to sit there and you want to have a one-on-one, heart-to-heart with your players and what they want and what you want. But you gotta bring in the agent in this day and age, and you don't want to sneak diss him. Or
no,
that's not even a.
It wasn't even a sneak diss. He's like, I
don't
even know his name. Well,
Well, Micah Parsons didn't like it. He took to Twitter, talk about it a little bit. He's like, hey, come on now. You're not gonna sneak around anything. This deal is gonna get done, and it's gonna be an agent involved. I don't appreciate you snubbing my agent.
No backdoor deals or something.
No backdoor deals, something like that, which I get, man. And the season's far away. Training camp's a little bit down the line, so you do have some time. But then it came out yesterday in that same interview that Jerry's not really seeking any urgency in getting this deal done right now. So there is some, time there. And they say it's close.
Yeah,
they say it's close, but I don't know what a comment like that is any kind of productive, especially when it's going to blow up and go make its rounds like it did, tomorrow or today.
It's purely just Jerry being Jerry to me because, with you saying that, I don't feel a sense of urgency. He said the exact same thing last year about Dak Prescott. So
yeah. And that deal got done.
Yeah.
That deal did get done. So we'll see. It's one that Cowboys fans are dying for. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
That's the one that they want.
That feels like more of a sure thing than the Prescott extension did.
Yeah, it does. It did. And, we can go rounds about if that Prescott extension was good and overall good for the team. Definitely a fork in the road, and you can say they took one. They took a fork. They took one of the roads.
They saw the fork and they took it.
They took it. All right, so there's a few other things down the line. Of course, another what are we doing is the Brewers pitchers comment on these bats that are circulating the league right now. The Yankees had themselves an MIT guy, and the MIT guy said, let me tell you about inertia and physics. If we put more mass here, the lighter object, the ball, will go far, 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 far away. Dan, some pitchers are not liking these bats.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to get too upset here talking about this, but the whole conversation about this, and it's fine, it's kind of died down because in the last 2 days the Yankees have lost, so everybody's like, oh, it's actually fine. But, when the Yankees hit 9 home runs in one game and 15 in their first series of the year, everybody's losing their minds, and you have, just losers out here on other social media platforms just immediately saying, these should be banned, these should be banned. They've been being used for 2 years. Players were using them in spring training last year. Giancarlo Stanton used one all throughout the playoffs last year. Nobody said anything then. When he went off every game because nobody ever zoomed in the camera on the barrel and said, huh. But because the Yes Network zoomed in and just explained what it was, people freaked out. And people just saying they're, and Trevor McGill, who's like, oh, maybe it's Bush League, maybe it's not, but it's the Yankees, so MLB will allow it. Come on, man. That's just, have some pride.
Yeah, it's
I read
fine,
that,
dude.
and I try not to get upset online, but I had to leave a comment under, MLB on Fox's Instagram post about it. I'm like, this is the most loser thing I've ever heard. Bro, go cry somewhere else. That's just crazy that, they'll allow it because it's the Yankees. Francisco Lindor uses it. Adley Rutschman uses it. Players around Major League Baseball are using it and have been using it. It was not invented on March 30th and rolled out for opening day for the New York Yankees.
The weirdest thing is you don't see players coming out like this when people are getting busted for steroids.
No.
Profar just got busted the other day. I haven't heard a single thing around his production over the last few years because he's been popping off. He got himself a few contract extensions.
All of a sudden kind of figured it out after being a top prospect and floundering for a while. And then,
kidding.
In his 30s, he was like, oh, well, this is actually how you do it.
Hold on, maybe.
I don't know what happened there.
What's this stuff? What's the secret stuff that's been going around?
Exactly.
No, but I'm kind of in your corner on this one. I think, I made a whole video on it. It's the next progression in equipment. If this is where it goes, where it goes. It's not like they're up there with a tennis racket. You know what I mean?
No.
It's not like they're up there with a cricket battle.
And people, I feel like people just read the headline and they picture the little kid wiffle ball. Did you have that wiffle ball bat that was bright orange and just had the massive bat? I feel like that's just what people picture in their heads. And it's no, it's perfectly legal. The barrel's not any bigger. It's just in a different spot.
Yeah, and it's within the diameter, it's within the rules of everything, so it's fine. Why is everyone so against change? People love hating on change in
Especially
baseball.
in baseball, yeah.
Especially in baseball. There's the purists that, never want to let go of nothing.
I know.
But, pitchers have been having such an advantage. Pitchers are achieving peak performance. You don't see this happen in sports very often where this is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
The human arm physically cannot throw harder than what we are throwing right now as a species. We are consistently getting higher velocities, higher spin rates, and the batters, you haven't seen any kind of innovation on that end at all.
No.
Not to mention, you got the shift that was going for a while to make it even harder to hit. No wonder we were seeing batting averages drop. Baseball needs this bat. Baseball needs no shift. If you want to talk about people being like, oh, let's make them steroid again. Let's let them use to get them all huge and then have baseball more exciting again. This is kind of a way to do that naturally, where you're not hurting anybody. And if you leave one over the plate, you leave one over the plate. Sorry, dude.
Right, and that was another thing. Like, if you watch those games against Milwaukee, with peace and love to Nestor Cortez, former Yankee, he has a place deep, deep down in my heart. Bro was throwing meatballs out there. Like, he got like 3 homers on 3 pitches to begin the game. Like, 2 of them were middle, and like, and I think Judge got like a cutter in on the hands. But Judge has been Nestor's teammate for the last X amount of years, so he probably went up there and said, "Oh, he likes to throw cutters into righties," and he hit it 468 feet. But I mean, to your point, it is a good point because pitchers are as good as they've ever been. And you said, physically we have reached the pinnacle. I think we have passed the pinnacle because, with the amount of Tommy John surgeries we see, and like at this point, it's kind of a guarantee if you're going to be a Major League Baseball pitcher, you're going to get Tommy John at least one time, probably twice, maybe not probably twice, but you're going to get it.
It happens twice.
It happens twice.
Yeah.
Like Nathan Eovaldi in Texas, I think he's had it 3 times.
Yep.
I mean, at least twice. I think he's had it 3 times. Jacob deGrom's had it twice.
Yeah.
And also, to your point, when DeGrom was in New York with the Mets, people would lose their minds, and justifiably so. He was throwing consistent fastballs 100, 101, and his slider would sit at like 93, 94,
ridiculous.
Which, unhittable and so fun to watch, but then he would pitch for 2 months and be out for the rest of the year. Whereas in his first start, at least in Texas, I think his slider was sitting like 86, 87, and I'm like, that's still really good. He still got
really
outs.
Good.
That'll still get the job done, and hopefully he can pitch for the whole season.
His fastball was still sitting around 99.
Right.
That's crazy. Isn't that crazy? He's still doing it, man.
It's unbelievable.
He's still doing it.
So that's one thing, like, for Rangers fans that I'm excited for them is just hopefully, and just baseball in general, like a full season of Jacob deGrom would just be so great because it's easy to forget. He was so good for the Mets.
He is an all-time great.
Truly,
Jacob deGrom is an all-time great, but he just can't stay healthy long enough for people to remember that.
Yeah.
And it's only a matter of time, and I can't wait till he gets into the bullpen. At some point, there's a natural, for a guy like him, move him into the bullpen, shorten his, shorten the amount of innings he gets, and keep that velocity up, keep that stuff high.
Yeah.
He'd be a great closer at some point for the Rangers, who need a closer. They need him bad. Yeah. Well, all over CBS 19, we have been talking about it forever, about the Final Four.
Of course.
Guys, it's here. Finally, it's here. We can't stop talking about it because we have it. It's running on our network.
We got it,
We've discussed it in the past. Number ones making it. It is what it is. Houston's up in there. Auburn, Florida. Who am I missing? Duke. Duke's playing Houston.
Duke and Houston and Auburn and Florida.
How did you feel about all 4 number 1 seeds making it in?
Yeah, it's not the most exciting thing. I think last time I was on, we talked about how people were freaking out about NIL killing the Cinderella team. And at the time, I was kind of like, eh. But seeing 4 number 1s in the Final Four definitely is it kind of grabs your attention a little bit for sure. It's maybe on one hand it's like, okay, well, these are the best 4 teams in the country, so they're going to play the best 2 games, and they're going to battle it out, and it's going to be an unbelievable Saturday of basketball. But on the other hand, it's like, well, it would be fun to see.
I think we look at the NCAA tournament wrong a little bit.
Okay.
Because years like this is what's supposed to happen.
Right. Right. Yeah. In any other scenario, this is what happens 90% of the time.
This is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Any other time, I don't think not taking it for granted is the wrong way to go about it, because we all love March Madness. We all watch the crap out of March Madness.
Yeah.
But we don't appreciate when there's not a number 1 in there. And this is what it's supposed to look like. It doesn't upset me because it's not like the games have been bad.
Right.
Even the ones this last week, they weren't maybe the most exciting things in the world, but it's still watchable basketball. If not for, wow, is Duke good, or is Alabama just not getting a 3 up?
Well, they live and die by the 3. They set the tournament record for most in a game. I forget who they played before. Before Duke.
It was was it Maryland?
But I think they hit like 25, 26 threes in that game.
No, it was BYU.
Yes.
It was BYU.
And it was a tournament record, so it's like, okay, well, yeah, if they do that, maybe they can beat Duke, and they didn't do that. So
No, not at all. Mark Sears they just could not get anything going, to a point where they looked bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you live and die by the 3, it looks bad when you're not hitting the threes because you're just chucking. When they're going in, it's like, this is unbelievable, Dickie V. But it's, you know.
Yeah. But even like when they would try to drive, it was running into guys. Duke's had a good perimeter around that arc.
I mean, Duke's interior is crazy. I forget the center's name, but that kid, he's 7'2", and I saw a picture of him on Twitter the other day of him just like grabbing the rim with both hands and like both feet on the ground, which is crazy because I've seen like the Florida kid do that who's like 7'7" or whatever. And that's one thing, but this kid's like, I think he's right around 7 feet, which is obviously very tall, but he must have an insane wingspan. And then Cooper Flagg, who's listed at 6'9", probably closer to like 6'10", 6'11".
That kid's good.
He's so, I mean,
that kid's good.
He's so good. He's just fun to watch. Like getting into the lane, like spinning, like lefty hook shot. Like he does it with both hands. Like he can shoot, he can drive, he can pass. Obviously, not breaking new ground here. Cooper Flagg is really good.
Cooper Flagg's really good.
But it's just been a lot of fun to watch.
And well, you talked to someone yesterday from the Locked On Coogs podcast, just about kind of how they feel like this game's going to go. Let's take a look at what they had to say about it, and then we'll kind of dig into it afterwards.
They got to control the game's pace. Houston plays at one of the slowest paces in America. They like to work for their own good shot, and then defensively they force late shot clock shots. I don't think they can't play a track meet, but that's very much what Duke wants to do. They want to get up in the scoring in the 80s, 90s, even 100, whereas Houston rather play down in the 60s. If Houston can control the pace, keep control of the glass, and make this a low possession game, I think they got a really good chance here because that's just kind of what they've been doing all year long. And I could see that frustrating a young team. You mentioned Cooper Flagg, but a lot of freshmen at Duke that might not be used to someone imposing their will on them in that kind of way. It's been a while since it's happened to them.
That was from Locked On Coogs. First of all, great interview. Fantastic interview.
Thank you. He was really nice. Parker Ainsworth, thanks for hopping on with me. He's not going to watch this. Maybe, no, he's going to watch this.
He's going to watch this.
Thank you.
Who doesn't
Thank you
watch
for
this?
your review, Parker Ainsworth. No, but he was great. Had a tremendous sneaker collection behind him. Before I started the recording,
Look
I was
at
just
that.
marveling at his sneaker collection.
Look at that. Look at all those shoes.
Tremendous, yeah.
Nice.
No.
You got a Squishmallow back there,
Bringing
too.
straight
Great setup.
heat.
I think about that a lot, actually. As a sports journalist, we need to have a cool background. That's why we kind of set up all this stuff. PTI, those guys with all their bobbleheads, they got a cool background. I need to have like a good bookshelf in my sports journalism world.
This wall and this sign is pretty new, so maybe the next step is a bookshelf.
Yeah. No, something to build around. No, it's pretty cool. That's a good setup, though, he's got going on, especially for the pod. But he essentially basically just said stuff like, Duke's a young team. Duke has not really had someone bully them like Houston could bully them, have someone that could impose their will. I mean, the way I look at it, ACC was pretty weak this year, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse to discount how Duke was playing, especially after a tournament like this.
Right.
Where you're pretty much in a new season. And emotions are different. Everything is different. I'm looking at their last game. Their last game, they did a really good against an Alabama team that was extremely one-dimensional.
Right.
Like we were just talking about. The three flat out wasn't there. And when that kind of shut off, everything else shut off for them. Houston, that's a different story, though, because I feel like they have a few more options. They can get inside. They can be outside. They're going to slow the game down a little bit. I like Duke, and that's not because it's what my bracket says. It's overall, if I could bet, I would bet on – I like Houston. Sorry. I like Houston.
Oh, okay.
If I could bet on Houston, I would bet on Houston.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, Duke's just really – and, I went to Syracuse. I take no pride in saying Duke is really good, but they are. And like we were saying, I mean, Cooper Flagg had 16 against Alabama, but he shot 6 of 16, I think. So he didn't didn't have an efficient scoring game, but he still had 9 rebounds and 3 assists, and I think like a handful of blocks and steals. But even when, the freshman phenom doesn't step up, Tyrese Proctor has 17, Con Knipple has 21. The big man, I can't pronounce his last name, Malak, had 14 and 9. And they are young, but they're deep. And also to your point, it is a good point that they're young. Houston's not. They're experienced. They have, transfer guys. They have, juniors and seniors, whatever it is. So, maybe they kind of bring that experience. Maybe they'll bring a little bit more physicality with them. But like we were saying, I mean, Duke is a physical team. They got size inside. And also, like, Cooper Flagg doesn't strike me as somebody who's going to be intimidated by
No. Lights are lights. Sometimes they get a little brighter, and we just don't know how they're going to respond to that yet. I guess that was kind of his point a little bit. But the stat that stood out to me the most It's not on the Duke side. On the Houston side, did you see in their last game? Oh, man, who was it against? I'm blanking on it.
I'll find it right now.
They let up 15 points in the first quarter. 15 points. That is insane. Typically, you're not seeing the most points
That's ridiculous.
in a half, an opening half, but 15 is ridiculous. There's 20 points in a half. That's less than a point a minute.
Yeah.
You don't see numbers like that, especially in the Elite Eight of the NCAA tournament. That's dominance. That kind of defense is one that Duke hasn't really seen yet, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it's, again, we talked about it. These are, this year just pretty much basically good high seed teams advancing. So that was against Tennessee. That wasn't against some Cinderella who broke into the Elite Eight and then just kind of fell apart.
That's
that
an SEC team.
Right.
That's a good team.
A really good SEC team.
And you know what? It needs to either be Houston or Duke. These other conferences need this so
That's a good
bad.
point.
The SEC can't have everything. And after the year, I would love for it to be the Big 12. Big 12 guy. I'm a Big 12 guy. I'm a fan. It's a fun league.
Sure.
But after the football year that they had, and they were supposed to be the dominant basketball program, nothing came out of it. It was a weak year. Kansas didn't show up.
No, yeah.
Arizona didn't show up. Houston was the only team that showed up outside of maybe Tech. Texas Tech had a good year.
Tech had a good, they had a good year. They had a good run.
But man, the Big 12 needs this one bad. And please,
no, that's a good point.
Please, Houston, come on, baby, come on. Don't let the SEC have all the fun.
Yeah, and the Cougars were obviously, they were Big 12 regular season champions, and then they won the Big 12 tournament. So, they were the best team in the conference all year. I think JT Toppin was the conference player of the year, so they were always, the cream of the crop. So hopefully, if anybody can do it, hopefully it's them.
I would hope so. I would love that. I would love that. Sticking in a little basketball still, sticking with things that we love.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Dan, you told me something that you love this year. Let's get right into it.
Mm-hmm.
I love to see it. First things up, check this out, baby. Jokic, the Joker, 61 points. April Fool's Day, you would have thought it was a joke, but this is legit, and it doesn't get more legit than Nikola Jokic. Dan, Denver loves this guy like Dallas loves Dirk Nowitzki. It's the same kind of love. This guy can do no wrong. He could go out there and punch a baby, and they'd be like, "Well, hold on."
He must have had a good reason.
He had 61 points. Can he put the baby in the net? Yeah, he'd probably be up there with it. They love Nikola Jokic. Dan, tell me why that is your love to see it moment of the week.
It's just he's just having one of the best seasons ever, and he's a 3-time MVP already, and the fact that he's not a shoo-in for the MVP this year, and I know that we want to talk about that too a little bit. Kind of that's been one of the great debates in sports probably all year has been, who's going to win the NBA MVP. They were kind of like Giannis was sticking around for a minute, Tatum even stuck around for a minute, but really it's just been Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who I met at the NBA draft in Brooklyn. Shout out Shea, nice guy. We didn't really talk about it. And then Jokic, who, again, 3-time previous MVP, and he's averaging a triple-double. What is he averaging? Hold on, I got it right here. He's averaging...
I would imagine a triple-double.
He's averaging 30, 13, and 10.
That's ridiculous.
And he, on 58% shooting, and 42% from three.
It's just the craziest part is
crazy.
The craziest part is that when you see numbers like that, it's not like this guy's just camping under the damn hoop.
No,
he's moving around.
42% from three.
Yeah, his 3-point percentage is insane. So when we talk about the MVP race, you're right. He is a shoo-in, and he should be the MVP. But what we have here is a prime example of Jokic exhaustion.
Jokic exhaustion and also storylines,
Yeah, storylines. People are so tired of seeing this guy win it. Well, you can't just have the same guy win it every year. Come on now, right?
No,
But what are you going to do? He's averaging 30 points a game and a triple-double. What other options do you have? Luka Doncic could have won the MVP any of these last 3-4 years. But there was one guy doing exactly what he was doing, just better.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, that's what's happening again. He is the best big man in basketball. And then you got idiots going on the internet, going online, going on TV, just like yesterday. Where's it? Maybe it was today, saying Jokic isn't even a top 20 player of all time.
Who said that?
It was a Michael Morris, something like that. You can look it up right now. It is the most ridiculous statement.
Crazy.
Jokic might be one of the top 20 athletes ever, period. This guy gets a few rings. Yeah, you have him in that conversation. What a ridiculous statement to have.
That's unbelievable. I didn't hear that.
That happened. People love to talk about, where is he in the all-time? Is he in the top 10 for centers all-time? He's in the top 3 probably.
Right, yeah. If he retired today, he'd be in the top 3.
Come on now.
I mean, and then just to touch on the other guy, because the other, like we said, it's Shea, and he's averaging 33 points. 5 rebounds and 6.5 assists. Also, a block for a guard, which is impressive, and about 2 steals. He's one of the best defensive guards in the league. Maybe probably top 5, top 3 defensive guard. And he also is he's leading, by far the best regular season team in the league this year, which matters. Again, it's so weird talking about the NBA MVP because storylines matter. Voter fatigue is so real. It's so real. Like, I always think about when D Rose won the MVP in 2011, and he had a great year, and the Bulls finished in first. But look at this. LeBron should have won that MVP. He was the best. He was the most valuable player, whatever. Yeah. And same thing. You go back and look at Jordan. Like Jordan won 5 MVPs. He probably could have won 8 or 9.
Yep.
In reality, but so voter fatigue is a real thing. So I think people. Those voters back then have kind of put the voters now in a corner where it's like, well, do we have to abide by that? Is it crazy if Jokic has, because I think LeBron has 4 MVPs right now.
Yeah,
and
I think
so
you're right.
It's kind of, and that's something on people's minds. It's like, okay, well, should Jokic have the same amount of MVPs as LeBron? It's like, well, LeBron should have more.
It's not a should. This isn't a should.
Well,
did he deserve it? Yes.
I'm saying, that's just how it is, and the way the voting's been done in the past has kind of handcuffed people now because they're like, well, historically, we haven't given it to the same guy year after year after year, even if they are the best. But they probably should have, but they didn't. So now they're like, well, should we do that now? And it's a whole conundrum, which is why I see both sides, because if you just look at the stats. It's probably Jokic. I mean, strictly on the stats, it is Jokic. So if you factor in team stuff, maybe it's Shea. I watched a great YouTube video. I don't know who posted it, whatever. But it talks about how, Shea, without Shea, the Thunder are still really good. But Shea...
Without Jokic, the Nuggets are not.
Right. Well, that's the thing is Jokic lifts the Nuggets from being a mediocre to below 500 team to a really good team in contention. Whereas... Shea lifts the Thunder from being a really good team, maybe in contention, to the top dogs in the West by far. It's they're both jumps, and they're coming from different places and landing in different spots. It's just a really interesting conversation, and I truly see both sides. I wouldn't want to vote on that.
No, and that is a tough part. The toughest part is that someone has to lose.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, and it's going to be a great player that's going to have to lose. And my thought is, you just can't. It's one of the best statistical seasons ever.
Yeah.
It's not like last 5 ever.
Right.
Ever. And it's hard to pass over that kind of greatness.
Yeah.
Well, we can get into my favorite thing of the week.
Please.
I try not to talk about Colorado every single time. I think about it and I'm like, I talk about this a lot. But it's hard not to get excited. 5 years, $54 million for Deion Sanders. You love to see it. I love to see it because so many people said it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Everybody, get ready. He's leaving. He's going to the Cowboys.
Right.
He's going to
That was the big
FSU.
thing.
He's going to blah, 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 blah. I'm going to tell you what, I was a little more worried about Florida State picking him up than the Cowboys. Florida State's got their own thing going on. They have a mess there, and sounds like they're sticking with their guy, but the Cowboys, there was some rumors there, and I think there was more truth to those rumors than we all realized, which was a little worrisome. But they locked him up, man. They locked him up. He really likes it there, and now he's going to get paid in the top 5 of all coaches in college football. He's going to be making around $10 million a year. That's Dabo Swinney money. Mm-hmm. That's Ryan Day money. That's big dog, national championship type money.
Yeah.
They're putting all their chips in the middle. And it's the kind of money you need to spend if you're going to win a national championship. People kept talking, what has Colorado done? What has Deion Sanders done to deserve this? I mean, what do you mean, what has he done to deserve this?
Do y'all remember what they were like before he came?
1-11, 4-8, 9-4. That's progression. He's at least doubled the wins every single year. Yeah. The next step is contention.
Yeah.
So I like this. I'm a big fan. Of course, all eyes on Bolt. You know what? Hold on. All eyes on the Buffs.
Yeah.
And they will stay there for the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah. Did you see Syracuse's football coach Fran Brown was trying to get them to play a spring game?
Yeah, I did see that. So Deion Sanders brought it up, like, let's have a spring game. Let's get talking and stuff like that. And then Syracuse hit him up on Twitter. They were like, let's do it.
He was like,
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And then the NCAA said no.
They said, actually, no.
Yeah, actually, we're the league that said, yes, literally do whatever you want ever. And we're going to step in and stop this one because no one likes to have fun. Come on now. That's ridiculous.
What was their official reason? I don't remember.
Probably something waivers wise. They don't want people getting hurt. Something, and then they
the
have to
teams wouldn't want
sanction
people
it or
getting hurt
something
either,
like that.
obviously.
Yeah,
Like, they wouldn't.
It's a whole lot of mumbo jumbo,
Just a bunch of nonsense.
ridiculousness. It should have happened. It would have been fun. I would have had me and Danny could have a fun moment watching that game.
Couple programs on the rise.
Couple
Syracuse
programs
and
on
Colorado.
the rise. Syracuse picked up a few coaches from Colorado. Y'all's linebacker coach, I believe, came from Colorado. I'm blanking on his name right now. He was a great coach. I was really upset when he ended up leaving, but that's just, college football programs that are worth a darn.
Yeah.
Move around.
Yeah.
The coaches move around. That's just what happens.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited for what, Syracuse is getting going down the line in that dome of theirs.
Yeah, the JMA Wireless Dome.
The JMA Wireless Dome. What was it before?
The Carrier Dome.
Yeah,
it was the Carrier Dome forever, and that's like, people there still call it the Carrier Dome.
Is it nice? It doesn't look nice, to be honest with you.
There's a lot of mystique around it. People like to talk it up, and then you kind of walk in the first time as a freshman, and you're like,
okay,
it's a dome.
I am inside.
It's cool for some it makes basketball interesting because obviously a football field is massive. It's 100 yards plus, whereas a basketball court is a lot smaller. So basically they bring a basketball court out onto one of the end zones, and then they just roll a bunch of bleacher type things, to this side of this side of the sideline. And then the other side of the sideline is just the football stands, with rows and rows and rows, and both, here and here are just rows and rows. So if you're playing like Colgate or something, with peace and love to Colgate, it just looks so empty, and it's like, God, why are we doing this? But then when Duke comes to town, it's like Syracuse set another attendance record. It's like, well, yeah, because we play in a football stadium.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, it's cool when it fills up like that, but when it doesn't, it's like,
Just hitting them with the echo.
Right, yeah, pretty much.
Echo. Dan, I really appreciate you coming on. It's always a pleasure. We had him on 2 weeks in a row now. 2 weeks in a row. Maybe we'll get Serenity back up. Maybe we'll get all three of us in this podcast next week.
That's the dream.
We will see. Stick around. Find out. We'll see you next time on the Beast Texas Breakdown podcast.